So far, I mean, it's going about what I expected when it comes to the Arasion Sace. I've fully been in belief that over the last year they logically wouldn't have been training or doing anything to get that much stronger because they're probably enjoying the fact that they all got their official pardons and were just living life. And the only one that I could see getting somewhat stronger and really doing anything here was Cobra, and he's the one that out of all of them is just like getting directly countered the hardest. So I still don't want to count him out because if any of them are gonna actually win one of their fights, it would be Cobra. But I still don't. I still find it very difficult for any of that to happen. For them to get any of their own wins because the Arasion Sex still would have their Aetherius form since they are Aetherius demons, and because of that, there's just always that additional thing that they could just pop in and drop on top of the Sace members and make it even harder for them to fight. Because when you look at it, what's really funny is Racer is the one that seems to be doing the best, and he's fighting just such like so far the easiest looking opponent. While at the same time, I don't think Bird has really used up anything crazy because all he's done is just use his black sky magic, which just makes it so he can't be seen. I mean, that's got to be something super simple and pretty easy to beat in reality. So I'm just in the full assumption he is going to pull out something grander once we get back to his fights because if I don't think any of them are really gonna end up fighting the sex members again as like a full setup. I think it's going to be mostly Cobra and Cobra's match that is a return one, and other members of the guild and of the protagonist side end up fighting some of these guys because Gate in this chapter was crazy. I didn't expect him to like have such a weird looking magic. He ends up opening up his own gate. Like one thing is Merid goes for this like the just direct sense link, and he just breaks it, which again was just really cool because I'm wondering if that has to do with him just power breaking it, like he just like targets the spell or something, or if he and his power is just a way to counter that because of a oh I affect or I can use this effect because of my power, blah blah blah. That explains it, and it just that's why he's able to break effects on himself or something. But he made this cool gate appear behind him that had all these hands come out and grab Merid and just pulled her in. And again, like I don't think that really they can pull through with their matches right there just because there's not a lot of each of them that have shown like new expanses in their abilities. Like a lot of the Sace members have gotten stronger as the series has gone. Like nothing like crazy and like inconsiderable. The most prestigious of them is Cobra because he helped fight with Acnologia, but it's not like Acnologia was like seriously going at Cobra directly or anything. So it's like hard to use that as a piece. But I really liked, and one thing that was specific in showing the chapter is Lucy was summoning her key, using her key, and we know that the whole summoning bit was mentioned earlier about how like the keys aren't so some keys are only a piece for summoning magic. It's more to do with the gateways that you use, and I think that is going to be a hint if Gate is potentially a Lucy opponent at some point. It would be really cool to see a summoner battle for her. I think that would be really badass after a while because she's been fighting a lot of like power characters that are hard for her to deal with. Be like Mimi and Kyria, who are just counters to like how a summoner generally works. But it'd be really good to see her in a against an evil summoner kind of situation. But as it were, one thing with Blade I thought was interesting is like he responds to Cobra saying he didn't hear his mind, he read his mind, and he's just talking to him about things like his blade is gonna pierce his heart, just doing some general flex. And while he's doing it, he goes and he slashes Cobra, and he says, that's two. He's counting the slashes. I'm wondering if maybe the effect of his sword and his black magic is like every single time he gets a slash on his opponent, there's like an additional effect that goes off for something extra. Like, oh yeah, after 3 strikes, this happens. After 4 strikes, this happens, and he's able to continuously use more effects per time that he hits somebody. I think that'd be a really cool just general ability, just like some cool like weird variety number. It'd be like kind of gimmicky in all the right ways. I think that'd be sick. But Damon and Angel, I didn't really see what was gonna go well for that, and like because Angel like had her keys, like she had celestial spirit magic, and then she went into the coin magic from the anime arc where she had like would sacrifice part of her lifespan in order to use stuff, and then she has her angel magic. I'm wondering if she's going to be able to pull out her maybe she pulls out that coin magic from the anime arc and starts using that, because like what exactly would she do to turn her fight around? Like she had a really nice just new ability she used where she gave herself angel wings, did like a feather attack where it just does all these projectile feathers that all seek in and attack the target. But in reality, that's like a good general frontal attack, but it's not going to be too much in a battle like this against somebody, again, that one is using a dangerous black magic, but two has already been melting all the attacks that you sent her way. If she did this much closer, and I think maybe that was like her problem, she should have gotten to her like tricked her into a position and then used this and revealed it and then hit her with these feathers at much closer range. But it probably wouldn't have mattered because she doesn't seem like Angel doesn't seem like she's ever in a fight where if her direct effect is not what takes her opponent, she just kind of goes through her abilities and is like she's like a less combat trained version of Lucy, really, when you think about it. Lucy's a more advanced summoner all around in combat. I really like the fact that she still had Callum and she was able just to use that in battle, just shooting that just general energy laser. It pierces Damon, who just seems to heal from the damage. I'm guessing is like she can turn her whole body into acid, and it's not just her ability to regenerate while being partly acid. I don't know. But again, it's like Angel can pull out more stuff. And I all of the SACE members are prodigies in like a level of their own. Scaling from like Richard, Hot Eye to up to Midnight. And the Angel, it's not like Angel's weak, but Angel doesn't seem to have that level of like drive to really make her extremely powerful, and her magic doesn't seem to be as like diverse. I think she's just moved around from different types. Because here you're up against somebody that, despite what we don't know about the sex members and the whole abyss of black magic, we do know that just from what they've been showing so far, they've been destroying the SACE members without a lot of effort. Because she just, does this like pose attack using her cards, and it just melts all of Angel's feathers and all of her wings, and just seemingly has defeated her. Zero comments on it. And the same thing with Zero and Midnight, because Zero's going to know everything that Midnight has, and he's only going to get that trick illusion, I think, once. I don't really see Zero falling for that again. And Zero has more at his disposal. He's probably going to be able to pull out some new techniques at some point. And on top of that, Midnight looks exhausted. And I know the chapter is titled the SACE Bond, but I think it's going to be more a title that goes towards a rescue arc. Like, because Cobra had that little bit in the, like, right before this arc started, so I think that I've still thought there was reason for it. And I think it'd be really cool if Cobra has his own mini arc, his own mini plot going on within this next arc, or at least in this arc, or depending how long it goes in this general period of the story, where he has to maybe get the other members of the SACE back, and maybe they get captured by the sex members, and they're going to turn them into Aetherius, and Cobra's trying to stop that or something. Because really, like, when you look at them, if Merid is already using, going into her sense link, and that is instantly broken, and seemingly the first ability that Gate uses completely just grabs her and whisks her away and takes her away, because Cobra's looking good in terms of like this panel, where he just seems to just want to like make a large enough amount of poison that it's dangerous for Blade to come within the vicinity of him, but I just don't really see it happening. Because one thing with Cobra as a second generation Dragon Slayer, he's generally going to have a bit of a lesser stance when it comes to his reach in dragon slaying magic. I'm curious to know if maybe it'd be like with Laxus, where he would have to remove the lacrima at some point out of his body, or if he's going to like have my initial belief of what would happen. It's like maybe the crystal eventually, like with the lacrima, like melds with your body and fuses into it or something, instead of just being an implant. Because Cobra is a character that's always been strong, but it's never seemed like he is somebody that has been actively trying to grow and progress at the same rate as other characters. He just seems to kind of like make it up and follow, and not get lost behind. Like, he's always able to keep up to a degree, not in full, but he's able to not just get so far behind that he can't do anything. And here, I think Cobra is going to show something new and kind of like get into a good moment, and maybe we'll have a bit where some of the SACE members start to try and have a turnaround. But again, I think with the Aetherius form still should be awaiting with the sex members, that I don't see them winning right now. And maybe Cobra will come back and he'll fight Blade again and he'll get a victory later, which is what I would really like. I think it'd be really cool to give him a rival and someone to look forward into fighting as this arc progresses. But also as something that's like, if he wants to get his friends back and get the SACE members back from maybe being turned into demons by them, and you could it'd be a great reason to again show the other characters doing their thing, even if they lose their fights, and then have other members show up and join in to help rescue them. Because it'd be a good reason to have Cobra join Fairy Tail, like it was kind of like hinted at, if members of Fairy Tail show up and help get back his friends, and they're like, okay, you've done this for us, or maybe I should join the guild after all, because they've been able to do all this stuff for the people that, even if they're not all going to be hanging out all the time, they're still his friends from the tower and people that were, he's known his whole life. Because we know Cobra does care about them. At the whole opening of the Tartaros arc, his whole deal with Mest was that the other members of the SACE had to be let out, and he's able to do it. It's not like he just used that as a bargaining chip. I mean, he did kill Brain for using them more as pawns, so it's not like, again, he doesn't have an affection for the other members of the SACE, because Cobra is the nicest of them in a lot of ways. We know that from other than now Richard, because Hot Eye is just a nice guy. He's pretty much like a love monk. But I don't know, it's looking rough for them. I don't really see where they could turn the fights around in their favor, and I just don't really see like with Merid, how's she gonna get out of whatever dimension that Gate just pulled her into? How is Hot Eye gonna get back up? What is Midnight gonna pull out to beat Zero? I just don't see it happening. I think they're kind of screwed, and it's gonna get very obvious once Bird turns around, because Bird is the one that's the weakest out of the sex members and the silliest. So once he is done playing as goofily, I think that it's going to really set the tone of like how overwhelmed the SACE members are in this scenario. So we'll see over the next couple of chapters. I still think like what's weird is the last 2 or 3 chapters really should have been like. I get why this chapter was its own chapter, but I think the reason the last 2 chapters were formatted the way they were was to set up for this chapter, to where it like had that flashback. It had what should have been the first half in the same chapter of the skirmish between the Fairy Tail group and the Fire and Flame group, and then the second chapter doing the same thing pretty much, just in reverse, and then going with the whole bit with Gaia and Hot Eye going into this chapter. Because it's clear to me that the sex members were going to have their time really pressing their fights in this bit. Cobra is, again, I don't want to say for sure that Cobra is going to lose, but I would prefer him to lose and then get this fight again, because it gives him an opponent that he, logically would have more emotional weight on to come back and then defeat later. And on top of it, I think it'd be a good follow-up for that chapter, like opening into the arc, because the whole theme of the, like the joke was the fact that Cobra, despite how him being way more powerful than Warren, he was able to do more like through mind reading and telepathy because he just has more mastery in that specific area. So when you have Blade showing in a combat sense of having this power that isn't fully mastered or not fully like expanded and advanced to where he would be using it against somebody like Blade, because Blade like not being able to hear his thoughts, and then seemingly Blade being, again, I think it was from the first Slash, and then he's able to read his thoughts, and maybe we'll get that explanation in the next chapter. So because he's the only one that seems to be focused as a like chapter fight as well. But I don't know. It won't surprise me if the next chapter it ends in Cobra's defeat and sets up something for more. Because I don't know, the sex members, there's got to be more to them than just obviously just showing up and then having a fight, because that whole like being touched, like having touched the abyss of black magic is it's a lore bit to the verse that clearly has to hold strong significance, because bringing this subject back but turning it into black magic instead of the abyss of magic, which could be really cool if it is the abyss of black magic and it was just a misunderstanding from Hades, and it makes sense why Hades went down the pathway that he went, because he didn't know exactly really in truth what it was that he was following. And that would just be really interesting. So as it were, there's a lot going on right now that I think we're going to wrap up a good chunk in the next chapter with some of these fights between the Arasion Sex and the Arasion Sace. And I don't know. I don't really see any of these Sace members winning at the moment. Cobra's the only one that maybe he could just pull out a win because he is a Dragon Slayer. Maybe he'll advance his dragon form or his capabilities, or he'll pull something out that he's been working on. But I think it'd be much better if all of them took an L and Cobra was able to train in some like I don't know how exactly he would go and train. Maybe it'd be really cool is if, because he was with Fairy Tail and that there were stuff that happened in events as the arcs go on, he figured out about Diablos, and he went to go and talk to Diablos members, and he goes and trains with them for a little bit and then comes back, and it's like he was able to like maybe like, oh, we have some meat from this one dragon that we took down that none of us wanted to eat because it was so poisonous, and Cobra's able to get it, maybe a heart, and he's able to consume it. I don't know. It would be really dope. It'd be really cool to give Cobra some cool tie-in, because I really love it when you have groups and you're able to connect throughout the story logically for characters to advance through, like essentially like a new set of information or interactions to unlock areas in their powers, kind of like with Max and Agil. I just think it's cool. It's like he went, and because of the Alvarez War, there is a level of familiarity between the Fairy Tail Guild members and the Alvarez Empire, and Max was able to get him to teach him some sand magic as another sand magic user, and Agil being willing to say yes just because of, again, the events in the Alvarez arc gave them that kind of really lax back and forth between their two parties, and I think that's just really cool. So I'm hoping we can get something like that for Cobra, where Cobra would be able to gain X, Y, Z, something new for him in the verse, because it'll be really surprising to me if it's just he gets a further progress, like the dragon arm scales go like more. He would have to pull out something. I think it'd be really cool for him to pull out just something that nobody ever expected. Like if he's like, oh yeah, I also learned takeover magic, and I learned some snake creature, and then he combines it with dragon slaying magic to turn into some super snake monster. I don't know. Other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this chapter. I thought it was really solid. I know some people probably want to get past the Arasion sex fights, just because I don't think anybody really has a lot of cards on the Arasion Sace to win. It just seems like really rough in their favor of these guys that were pretty hyped up. And again, the Sace member or the sex members as Aetherius, they are expendable, but without any of them really using like their Aetherius forms and Ferris hyping them up a little extra. It would surprise me if they just all, lost and there was no follow up for them. But we'll see. Other than that, I mean, my guess is, again, I think that all of the Sace members are going to lose, but Cobra is the one that is going to specifically be the one to turn it around. Because I think it'd be really cool if he lost, but he gets away or someone saves him, and all the Sace members are taken, and so it's like, to him, it's like a rescue mission. Like, he's involved with other stuff going on, but to him, he's like, I gotta rescue my guys out of there. Like, this is bullshit. And Merid is just captured anyway. I would love to see a dark magic version of Magulti Sense. That'd be cool. Like, could you imagine those swords, but like, more edgy and dark and black looking, where it's just sad feelings, the swords? That'd be awesome. Anyway, other than that, comment below, like I said. Tell me your thoughts of this chapter. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.